John, I just got a new phone, the new iPhone 16 Pro. It's amazing. You ever heard of it?
No, you heard of it? Yeah, man, I made like 6 videos on it, but the iPhone 17 Air just got announced. Like line of phones just came out like, depending when you're watching this, let's say 5 months ago. When talking about the iPhone, I think it can actually like really feel like this. You've got your 16, and as soon as you pick that up, there's rumors that the 17's coming out just around the corner. And this year, it might actually matter more than like previous years. I think we've been waiting for a long time for Apple to be something new with the iPhone. It seems like we've had the same iPhone design for the better part of 5 years. And with the 17 series, I think there's a lot to be excited about. Everybody wanted a mini phone, then nobody bought a mini phone. The last one we had was actually the iPhone 13. Then Apple went the opposite way, and they're like big phones. Then we got the Plus, gave us the same size as the Pro Max, but at a more affordable price. This also seems to not be doing as well as Apple had hoped, even they are currently selling it with the iPhone 16 Plus. So for reference, the 13-inch iPad Pro is 5.1 millimeters. So we are nearing that. And for sure, I think is going to be the star feature of the phone. It's super thin, but it does bring a lot of interesting things. So are expecting to see a 6.6-inch Pro motion display. And I think that is a huge win, but maybe not as big as most people think, because the entire 17 line is now expected to get Pro motion. So best way I can describe it, we actually saw leaks of this phone, which allegedly is actual hardware. But if you can remember back to the Nexus days, this looks insanely similar, at least the top half, to the back of the Huawei-made Nexus 6P, which I really like to look at that phone. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it's definitely a unique look for an iPhone. Inside, we should get the same A19 processor that'll be shared with the iPhone 17. So overall, just before you start like thinking about it more seriously, it's a good mix of pro and non-pro specs, but it does leave like a lot of questions. So the biggest question with the 17 Air, a phone that's going to be about 30% thinner than the regular 17, is gotta be battery life, right? You only have so much space to put in components plus a battery. I can speculate on what size I think the battery is going to be. So the last mini we had a 2400 milliamp hour battery, and we've got a 4600 milliamp hour battery on the 16 Plus. So obviously somewhere between that, I do think probably 3500 is a reasonable expectation for battery life. Recent iPhones from the 14 on, at least in my experience, have been horrible with battery life. My 14 had battery degradation more than I've ever seen on any other phone. I had to swap my iPhone 16 Pro for the Pro Max because I couldn't get through a whole day of battery life. So you take a phone that's incredibly thin, and the clear sacrifice, aside from potentially durability, is going to be battery life. Now maybe there's a solution for that. Currently, the MagSafe charging limit is 25 watts and wired is up to 45 watts. Maybe there's some way that MagSafe can charge this faster. Maybe 25 watts goes to 35 watts, and 5 or 10 minutes on the charger can make up for that lack of milliamp hours. That would be awesome. There's no way around the battery life question for this device, and I think that's unfortunate. I think that's gonna hold a lot of people back. The other big thing that I just mentioned is like durability. You have something that thin, probably made of aluminum. You can just see Unbox Therapy and jerry rig everything. Like, you know what's going to happen. You put that in your pocket. I'm assuming there will be some bending, which ultimately should lead to durability issues. I am all for a thin phone, but I think people who go into the 17 Air need to go into it with eyes wide open about what the sacrifices are going to be. It's like if you want to buy a 2-seater sports car, you know you can't take friends. If you want to buy an iPhone 17 Air, you know that you are not going to have the best battery life, and it might look like a banana 10 months in. Whether that's like the 17 Air or any of these iPhones are exciting to you, obviously they're all going to be able to run apps. And as a huge sports guy, one of my favorite apps is this video's sponsor, Prize Picks. I'm guessing most of you know Prize Picks, but it is the best place to get sort of real money sports action. They have over 10 million members, and sort of billions of dollars are awarded in winnings. And as somebody who watches more sports than makes my wife happy, Think of it like kind of daily fantasy sports are kind of accessible to everybody. They make it really easy. You just go in and you pick more or less. Do you think Patrick Mahomes is going to throw for more than a certain amount of yards? You just select more or less. Is Devonta Smith going to catch for a certain amount of yards? You just pick more or less. And it's not just for football. You can go to basketball and you think Bronny James is going to score more than 1 point in a game. You can go more or less. You've got those options. They made it really simple. You don't have to know everything about sports to play this. I mean, I watch a ton of football and I watch a ton of basketball, and usually I'm doing it with my phone in hand. I'm looking for box scores live as the games are going on, and usually I'm checking prize picks, sort of see how I'm doing. It adds a bit more fun to the games, and I think it's sort of the best place to sort of win cash while watching these big games. In case you guys are interested, actually giving away a free pick for like the big game where Patrick Mahomes only needs to throw 1 yard to win, so you can just click more on that one. Obviously that seems like about a sure thing. It really makes it easy to kind of win real cash. And again, download the app, use code Rettinger, you get $50 instantly after you play your first $5. You don't even need to win to receive that $50 bonus. It's completely guaranteed. I love Prize Picks. If you like sports, I think you will too. I think Prize Picks, the best place to run your game. Listen, Apple is not the first company to do this. Samsung just announced their Galaxy Edge type phone. Thin is definitely going to be the trend in 2025 and 2026. But if it's gonna go the way of like stereoscopic 3D phones and just burn out quickly, I don't know. If Apple or any company can solve the battery issue, I think thin is gonna be awesome. I know we're just kind of hyping up a new design, but if you're in the market for a standard 17, we're temper those expectations significantly. There will be some tweaks, but it seems this phone will largely look the same as what we have now, which is lame. The big change will be the display. So first, it should get slightly bigger, going from 6.1 to 6.3. This is the same growth that we saw with the Pro series for the 16. And most importantly to me, it's finally going to have ProMotion, no more 60 hertz display. This one has been so long overdue, but at least finally Apple is doing it. And inside, expect the new A19 processor. But that's really all we know right now about the standard 17. We expect to see gigantic changes, and where I'm most excited is in the Pro series. This is going to be huge for design in multiple ways. The biggest change is going to be with the enclosure. Remember when Apple got on stage to tell us how great titanium was and said this?
Grade 5 titanium. In fact, this is the same alloy used on the Mars rover.
In titanium for a durable, light, and stunning finish.
Welcome back, aluminum. Apple's been hyping the benefits of titanium for a really long time. So why would they go back to aluminum? The initial thought is cost. The components that are going to be in the 17 Pro, I'm guessing, are very, very expensive. And going back to a material they know that's less expensive, aluminum, I guess is the reason. But I would love to hear how them try to justify the risk and the bravery and the courage it took to go back to aluminum after just hyping the heck out of titanium. And if you are gonna copy anybody's homework, I think what Google's done with the Pixel 9 series is really good looking. They just have to do something different. 5 years of the same design and trying to charge $1,000+ for it is getting really stale. The processors are so incredible that you don't see a difference year over year. And the camera improvements year over year have become nominal at best. Apple's trying to sell us on new buttons on the phone as a way to sell phones. And I don't think people care that much about camera control or an action button. There has to be something different, even just aesthetically, I think, for people to get excited about these phones again. One question about this, though, is if Apple does get rid of the triangle design and put them across, is what happens with spatial video. Traditionally, the cameras top and bottom, when they're vertically arranged, are used to capture spatial video. Now, on the Samsung side, who just showed off their kind of VR headset, they're able to use software, essentially, to turn, allegedly, almost any video into spatial video. So I think one of two things is gonna happen if Apple does that. Either Apple will use software to convert whatever you are filming into spatial video, or Apple simply found a way to use cameras that are arranged horizontally, and of course, new A19 Pro processor inside. I'm sure that'll be another like huge push for like Apple Intelligence there as well. Apple's been relentless on the push of Apple Intelligence, and it does seem like general fatigue of the iPhone is setting in. Because of that, I think I, like a lot of people out there, are very meh on Apple Intelligence, their version of AI. They announced a ton of features, slowly rolled them out. We still don't have the full Apple Intelligence vision as of this filming. And I think it seems like promises unfulfilled. Even something that was my favorite feature with the ChatGPT integration, by the time the request makes that round trip back to the phone, I could have just opened the ChatGPT app or just gone to ChatGPT on the web and asked the same question. Genmoji is fine, I don't use it all the time. Image Playground is fine, it's not something you use all the time. I just want Siri to be faster. I want my requests to be more conversational. I want it to work more like Gemini, and we are so clearly not there yet. And I have no doubt that it's coming, but Apple touting Apple Intelligence when the main thing people do with Apple Intelligence is talk to Siri, and it's still being as bad as it is compared to the competition, I think really hurts the future of Apple Intelligence, at least a perception of it. You ask anybody about Apple Maps and probably 50% are still gonna think it sucks because of that initial launch and not realize that Apple Maps has gotten really, really good. It's hard to come back from a bad first impression. So if you haven't already run out and bought a 16, 16 Pro, or any of the 16 line, and your phone still works, I think the answer is definitely to wait. See what comes out, see what's new, and see if it's entertaining to you. Who knows, these new aluminum iPhones coming out for the 17 might be so atrocious and so flimsy that the 16 might be a way better buy because it's still made of titanium. I have no idea. It's clearly safe to buy the new iPhones. They are still really, really good phones. But again, if you don't need it, for the first time in now 5 years, I'm actually excited to see what Apple announces in September.